Area sawmills brace for a huge increase in U.S. duties on softwood lumber. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The U.S. Department of Commerce announced this weekend that the duties will soon be hiked from 14.5 to 34.5%. The province's Associate Minister of Forestry and Forest Products, Kevin Holland, spoke with TBT today about the implications. Brendan Miller joins us in studio. Brendan, how is Holland reacting to this news?
Well, Ryan, to say the least, he's disappointed with the decision to more than double those duties on lumber produced in this country, including at sawmills here in the Northwest. Moreover, Holland says he wants to focus on Ontario and Canada, despite the erratic nature of the decision south of the border. After releasing a statement over the weekend regarding the duty increase on softwood lumber, MPP and Associate Minister of Forestry and Forest Products, Kevin Holland, continued to voice his displeasure over what he calls unjustified and punitive measures. With that aside, the focus shifts back to the people of Ontario and Thunder Bay Atikokan as the duty increase from 14.5% to 34.5% could be devastating to the forest industries in the region.
So it's very concerning, being the minister involved or responsible for that file. But that's why our government earlier today, as I said, announced that package to help provide that relief to industries that are being hit heavily by the duties and tariffs imposed by the U.S. government, and that will include the forestry sector.
The package Holland mentioned is an $11 billion relief package to help businesses that could possibly flounder in the wake of these sweeping tariffs and duties. There's also a 6-month tax deferral, giving $9 billion to help with cash flow.
The unpredictability obviously makes it more difficult for us to be able to plan and deal with it. So, with not knowing what's coming from day to day, it's on one day, it's off another day, leaves you kind of always in that planning stage. So, if we had if there was some sort of measured, response or a measured program coming out, it'd be easier to deal with. Having said that, though, our government is fully prepared for what it is we're dealing with.
Holland points out that the province's forestry sector generated close to $37 billion of revenue in 2022 and supported more than 137,000 jobs, and says the Ford government stands firm that these duties should be lifted entirely. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
And let's hear more about that program that the province announced today. As mentioned, roughly $11 billion has been set aside for relief and supports for workers and businesses as the ongoing trade war with the U.S. is expected to have far-reaching consequences. CTV's Siobhan Morris brings us more.
With no sign of sunnier skies on the trade front, Ontario's finance minister is announcing a lifeline for businesses to get them through a rocky period.
$9 billion of those taxes that are provincially administered, companies can defer them for up to 6 months.
That includes some taxes businesses pay on alcohol, gas, and employee health programs. The Workplace Safety and Insurance Board is also issuing $2 billion in rebates to businesses.
That's going to be very important to them to manage their liquidity and cash flow.
Bethlen Falvey says we saw good take-up by businesses on these kinds of measures in the early days of the pandemic.
We don't want them laying off workers, and we want stability, so this provides financial tools to get that stability.
The help comes on the first day of a 2-week pause at Windsor's Stellantis auto plant. What comes after that is murky.
It's the not knowing and the lack of control over it. Usually we can bargain our way through something, but in this case, it's in other people's hands.
The NDP's Shadow Minister of Labour is gratified to see tax deferrals, but cautions WSIB shouldn't be used as a slush fund.
While this system is supposed to help injured workers get back on their feet, continues to deny workers compensation for being injured in the workplace.
The Premier insists his government has provided direct help to workers.
We just gave $3 billion to workers, $200 rebate check.
West would like to see more aid for Stellantis workers and those suffering under a new trade regime.
How do we swoop in to ensure that they don't lose their rental space or their mortgage payments? How are we helping workers who are being directly affected by these tariffs?
Speaking in Windsor, the Canadian Labour Congress is urging banks and lenders to show some empathy for those whose lives have been upended.
We need to allow deferrals on mortgages, on car loans, on personal loans, on credit cards right across the board. We need to ease the terms and extend the duration of loans.
Doug Ford says automakers aren't pulling the plug on major investments in places like Alliston and St. Thomas.
They're still on the go. I spoke to Ford as well. They're continuing their construction over in Oakville.
Adding that more investment is coming despite an uncertain future.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris. Turning to municipal politics, there are some major items on the Thunder Bay City Council agenda tonight. Council is expected to vote on a new representation system, which would drastically change the city's wards and the makeup of council. Last month's report by the Council Composition Committee recommended reducing council from 13 to 11 members, with one mayor, 2 councillors elected at large, and 4 new larger wards with 2 councillors each. If approved, administration will have to quickly drop a bylaw for council to ratify. Council will also be presented with the new location for the proposed temporary shelter village. Encampment response lead Riley Willinen wants council to approve the Fort William Road property, which is currently owned by the LRCA.
So we would be seeking to enter into a lease agreement with them. Their board has approved in principle, subject to final lease negotiations and their board's final approval. The site is really well aligned with our selection criteria. It's got a lot of space. It can accommodate up to 100 units. It is high readiness for construction, which is really important because we have been approved to receive $2.8 million in funding, and our full access to that funding is contingent on meeting some deadlines.
The other big item on the agenda is the fate of the James Whalen tug. City staff will bring back their original recommendation to scrap the entire vessel and award the tender to Marine Recycle Corporation for $579,000. We're now 3 weeks away from the federal election on April 28th. Today was the deadline for candidates to file their nomination papers. Voters in both Thunder Bay area ridings will have 5 candidates to choose from when they cast their ballot. Here in alphabetical order are those running in Thunder Bay Rainy River. Eric Arner is representing the Green Party. Brendan Hyatt is the nominee for the Conservatives. Marcus Pulowski, the incumbent, is running again for the Liberals. Sabrina Rhee is with the People's Party, and Yuk Sam Wan is the NDP candidate. Over in Thunder Bay Superior North, Amos Bradley is the People's Party nominee. Patty Haidu is the Liberal incumbent. Bob Herman is representing the Conservative Party. John Northey is with the Greens, and Joy Wakefield is running for the NDP. Voters can cast ballots now at their returning offices. Advance polls are scheduled for the Easter weekend, April 18th to the 21st. And there are 3 federal ridings here in northwestern Ontario. Tonight we begin our coverage of the candidates with a look at Kenora Kiiwetinoong. There are 6 people hoping to win over the voters in that newly configured riding. Justin Hardy reports.
Election Day is April 28th, and candidates in the newly redrawn Kenora Kiiwetinoong riding say they are ready for the fight to represent their area.
I believe running for the NDP was the right fit for me, and certainly they hold a lot of my values. So
there are political differences, there are historical differences, but also there are a lot of commonalities.
Tanya Cameron ran as the NDP candidate in the 2008 and 2011 federal elections in the former Kenora riding, and now she's back again representing the party in the newly dubbed Kenora Kiiwetinoong riding. Cameron, a member of Niseshewan Anishinaabe Nation, works as a chief executive officer at the Wigwas Elders and Senior Care Home in Kenora. She says she chose to run again to help the next generation.
What does the future hold for them? What our jobs are going to be looking like for them, and someday I hope they'll be able to afford to buy a home. But in today's financial climate, there's so many struggles that I see within my own families, within our circles, and the last couple of days of door knocking, I hear that there's a lot of concerns about what young people will be stepping into in terms of what their adult life is going to look like. So that's from my perspective, like that I thought is important to run.
Charles Fox is representing the Liberal Party of Canada in Kenora Kiiwetinoong. Originally from Bearskin Lake First Nation, Fox served as Grand Chief of Anishinaabe Nation from 1994 until 2000, and then served as Ontario Regional Chief. Fox also previously ran for the Ontario Liberals back in 2018 in the Algoma Manitoulin riding. He says his focus will be to help the riding through the economic threats from the United States.
It's going to hit us hard. So how do we begin to strategize for that? How do we begin to develop a plan on how we counter that? I understand the trade wars. I understand the tariffs. It's imposed by the Americans, but we got to retaliate, and we want to show the Americans, hey, we can do this. But at the same time, I think we have to examine what the cost of that is going to be to our communities.
The Conservatives' Eric Malillo has represented the former Kenora riding after winning the 2019 and 2021 elections. He's now running again in the redistributed Kenora-Kiiwetinoong riding. Malillo has not replied to numerous requests for a media interview. Sioux Narrows area resident John Hobbs is running for the Green Party, and he was also not made available for a TV interview. The other registered candidates in Kenora-Kiiwetinoong are Kevin Boucher Chicago, who is once again running as an independent, and Bryce Desjardins, who is running on behalf of the People's Party of Canada. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
And tomorrow we'll begin profiling the candidates in Thunder Bay Superior North, starting with the incumbent, Patty Haidu. OPP in the Rainy River area have laid murder charges against a Fort Francis man. 53-year-old Joseph DeRosier was charged with second-degree murder and committing an indignity to a dead body. A missing person report led to the discovery of the deceased. 41-year-old Curtis Medicine of Rainy River First Nation was first reported missing on March 31st. His body was found by the OPP on Saturday inside a residence on 5th Street West. The Northwest Region Crime Unit is investigating in conjunction with the Chief Coroner's Office. The accused remains in custody and will appear in court on Wednesday. A Thunder Bay company sent some of its staff to Orillia last week after that major ice storm caused widespread damage. Tilka Construction DKI is lending a hand as the massive cleanup continues. Because of the loss of power to millions in the area, sump pumps shut down, causing flooding in countless homes. Tilka sent a crew of 7 employees to help clean up the flood damage. With fans and dehumidifiers, their workers have already helped quite a few families in the Orillia region. Here's what co-owner Jared Zeroth had to say.
Mainly they're going to be remediating basements and just trying to stabilize people's homes at this point, try to take out the water, put fans and dehus in people's homes, and so that their houses are more secure and stable, so that they're dried out, so the mold doesn't occur, so that homes can be put together back together appropriately. Our partner relationship, DKI down in Orillia, they received 450 claims, and we're only able to do 2 weeks worth of help, or 3 weeks worth of help. So
Zeroth adds their customers here in Thunder Bay were happy to put their work on hold in order to help the people of Orillia. For the first time ever, a drone light show is coming to the local waterfront this summer, thanks to a partnership between the city and the Thunder Bay Airport. 2 unique shows feature a fleet of 400 synchronized drones to light up the sky over Marina Park. The choreographed light show will create a visually stunning experience for attendees. Organizers of Live on the Waterfront are working with the airport for the free drone shows on August 27th and 28th. Thunder Bay special events developer Karen Kadolf says each show will have a different theme.
This was a really unique opportunity that the airport actually kind of brought to us, and an opportunity to partner on this. So we'd been looking at drone shows for the last couple of years, just looking for an alternative.
And we're pretty excited to bring something new and innovative to the city of Thunder Bay for the summer send-off event on the 27th, 28th of this year.
Now it's time for the city of Thunder Bay to take these ideas and energies from groups and reinstate our City of Festivals theme.
More information and updates about the drone show can be found on the city's website on the Summer Send-Off page. A number of local animal welfare organizations got some support this past weekend thanks to a new event hosted by a group of women known as the Fundraising Fairies. The Spring Fling Vendors Market was held at the CLE Heritage Building on Saturday. The proceeds went to groups like Northern Critters in Need and Kitty Care. The market also featured more than 60 vendors, and the fees from each booth also went to the fundraiser. The ferry's booth had raffles for prizes and an Easter Bunny photo booth. Co-organizer and fundraising ferry Ashley Roth notes this was their first event and they have more planned for the future.
And this year we decided to do something a little bit different and fundraise for a whole bunch of different rescues in Thunder Bay and surrounding area instead of just focusing our efforts on one. So we help about 7 or 8 different rescues in Thunder Bay. Kitty Cares here, they have some swag for sale, like their t-shirts, sweaters. I think they had some blankets over at their table. Northern Critters, same thing. They have a couple tables with items, just that they have collected from different donations as well in their swag that they sell. And then we collected some prizes from generous local businesses that donate to our fundraising efforts, put those together, and then people can make a donation to enter to win a prize.
About $1,600 was raised to help local dog and cat rescues. More information about the fundraising ferries and their events can be found on their Facebook page. Well, in keeping with very well-intended and fundraisers that do good work here in the city, a lively crowd gathered at the Marina Park boat launch yesterday to brave the cold and cheer on participants of the Polar Bear Plunge. The annual fundraising event once again far exceeded its $75,000 goal. Emma Chilton was there.
The Polar Bear Plunge made a splash once again this year with over 150 teams and over 400 brave plungers jumping into the icy lake, all in the name of charity. The event raises money for the Special Olympics CNIB Pro Kids and Roots Community Food Center. Polar Bear Plunge Organizing Committee member Kiri Butter says although they exceeded this year's funding goal, they would like to beat last year's too.
As of this morning, I think we're 130,000 goal pledged already. We had a goal of 75,000, so we've exceeded that. Last year we raised 150,000, and I'm sure we'll get to that total by the end of the day. Money's still coming in. We also have our major sponsor, PDR. They're lovely. They not just made us sure we could have a hole to plunge into, but they're also big financial donors, and they will definitely, if we need to get over that last little bit, they'll be there to support us as well.
Every 30 seconds, a team jumped into the lake, and the entire event lasted over 2 hours. The cold plungers can be seen running out of the water to dry off and warm up as their supporters cheered them on. Teams were happy to tell us why they took this year's plunge.
We are DSW students. We are plunging this year to make a positive impact on making a good impact on children with developmental disability. So it's our first time and we're excited.
We want to do this for a lot of fun and for the cause. We're kind of on our mission for God, so we're here for that. And total raise is probably just over $5,000.
I've always been a big fan of Lake Superior, and I think it'd just be really fun to see what it's like in the winter.
The event was a huge success, smashing its fundraising goal with over $160,000 brought in for 4 charities. And once again, the Dougal Media News team took part in the plunge, dressing up as their favorite fictional news reporters. Emma Chilton, TBT News.
Well, great to see them raise so much money. Fiona, unfortunately, you and I were not able to attend this year. I was there the past 2 years. You were definitely there last year. I'm not sure if you were there.
And the year before.
And the year before, yes. So we know what that is all about and what a great event that is. And that water gets pretty cold. I can attest to that.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So congratulations to everyone who took part in it. And you know, the weather still felt like Polar Bear Plunge-like weather, but it wasn't as cold as it could have been. We did, as I warned, get a little bit of snow last night and during the day yesterday, but it has cleared out. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we started out with a fair amount of cloud today, diminished throughout the afternoon. The winds, though, kicked up, started out at about 14 kilometers per hour from the north. This afternoon, it was up to 35 to 43 kilometers an hour, those gusts. So it felt a little bit cooler than the -1 that we reached. Now, bear in mind, this time of year, we should be at about 7 Celsius. -1, well below normal, as was our overnight temperatures. Across the region, Lots of sunshine to the west, but again, temperatures are a little below normal. We're below the freezing mark across the board, and it was a cool night last night. To the east, they had snow until the early morning hours. Greenstone and Armstrong saw the end of the snow probably around 9 a.m. Sault Ste. Marie, it might have been a little closer to 10 or 11. They're under partly cloudy skies much of the day. Temperatures haven't moved much in the Sault, but the winds have been gusting 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, so -5 actually feels like -12 at this hour. Now, as we look into the rest of this week, we've got a kind of a good news, bad news scenario. So, start with the good news. No snowstorms this week. Having had 3 major snowstorms in the last 3 weeks, this is good news. Here's the bad news. It's going to be very cold, starting with tonight, a low of -18. Yes, we should be closer to about -4, but -18 will be the low, and it will feel closer to -23. That is a cold start to the week, Ryan. And unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of effort to warm back up to seasonal values. And I'll have more details on that later on in the news hour.
Okay,